Smiles, everyone. Smiles. And prepare yourself for...
Show me the money!
Ladies and gentlemen, the radio broadcast experience designed to keep your wallet in top condition. It's Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Talkin' money. Talkin' money.
More money, more money, more money.
And now entering the studio, your guru for fiscal fitness, Jeff Tarbell.
You gotta turn the button on. You want to talk?
Got to push the button.
How are you doing?
Good morning.
Don't leave KHTK. What all the we do got to talk to Vince a little bit there. Something's going on here. How are you? Welcome back. It's the morning after a lot of company Christmas parties. I, on the other hand, did not partake in too much last night, so I'm doing good.
Yeah.
You want to put your cigarette down there, Richard?
I didn't need that last drink last night. Damn drink tickets.
Yeah, the drink tickets are the killer, and then your wife's birthday on top of that. So happy birthday, Justine.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
So, I feel like I got ran over by a birthday truck.
Yeah, try it.
Other than that, everything's good.
This is how 8 years of Saturday mornings feels like. See?
Yes.
Sometimes it doesn't quite feel like Saturday morning. Still feels like Friday night, doesn't it?
It just rolls on.
Now, when the cab dropped you up out front, I thought that was the same outfit I saw you in last night. I was pretty sure that you just kept it going, huh?
Yes, sir. Here we are.
We have a lot of fun stuff to do, a lot of things to give away. Going to talk a little bit about everything. Going to do a little bit about some of the changes that might happen on January 1 with the unsigning of any kind of new bill. I'm tired of using the word fiscal cliff, and I said it again, fiscal cliff. And we'll talk about what that could mean for you. And if you think it just means something to those people that make over $250,000, you are kidding yourself. And even if that gets resolved, we're starting now to see the trickle-down effect of what happens when you do not control spending and you make your life contingent on the fact that we're going to soak just the rich, and then you find out, wait a minute, there ain't enough of them.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
So we're going to have to soak you and me too. So some of the things that will be going away or are being discussed now will come all the way down to the very level that will affect a little bit of all of us. We'll talk about that. Talk about maybe some changes to Prop 13 that are in the works. Prop 13, for those of you who own a home, is the plan that goes back to the 70s. Yeah, like mid 70s, when in California, you were the way your house is taxed is based on the purchase price you make and other things. But in some states, they can just come and I think Nevada might be one of them. I know Florida's one of them. They'll just raise your taxes based on market activity. And if you've been living in your house for 30 years and you bought it for $100,000 and everybody else is paying $400,000. Your taxes go to $400,000 because that's what the market's doing. And so Prop 13 changed that and said, no, you got to keep it in relation to what the people paid, which costs a lot of money to the government. So that's one item that's up for discussion again.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
We'll talk about that as well. I do want to bring up a little, this is almost hit me at home last weekend, so I thought I'd bring it up a little bit and see what you learned from it. And I'll be quite honest, I just haven't been tuned in too much to all the Hurricane Sandy, and it kind of came and went. Right, for us, we're a continent away, and on the other side of the continent is like, okay, they had a hurricane back there and they had some weather, and the roller coaster got knocked down, and it's a little bit of a mess.
There's a lot of water.
Yeah, a lot of water, and okay, but so what? I mean, we're here in California. They don't have earthquakes and we don't have hurricanes, I guess. So I honestly haven't been paying that much attention to it, but last Sunday we had that deluge here, and I would say we were probably in our backyard, our front yard, we had about 13 feet deep in water.
That's a lot of water.
Yeah, so it was out there in the drainage thing, and it was where it was going. It was supposed to go, so it backed up on the grass a little bit. And I'm talking about, we're on 3 acres. So we're talking about 2 acres away from us. So it's like, I don't care if the water goes 3 feet or 13 feet deep, as long as it doesn't back up in the front. It doesn't matter. But I walked out the back door, slosh and stuff right in the water that was now backing up in the backyard. And my wife and I spent probably 3-4 hours with just big push brooms, just pushing water off the deck. What we realized is that some of the things I had put out to help water drain away had actually got blocked by material and blocked up the water. So I tried to help myself and ended up almost.
This is what, a week after moving into your home?
Oh no, this has been a couple of weeks, but so I need to do some grading and things there. But what it got me to thinking about was, if that water comes in the house, technically that's not covered. I mean, and those of you that are in the insurance world can call me and correct me. I used to work in the insurance industry for a while, but water backing up from that source is considered a flood. You messing around in the shower line breaks and in your house is considered, there's different, the way the water comes in and the way it backs up, there's different types of damage. So your general homeowner's insurance will not cover a quote unquote flood. So it is something to think about because, and I'll tell you what the lesson that I learned out of buying this property, to nobody's fault at all. Well, to my fault. I always say it's buyer beware. All of the reports that I got for transfer disclosure, well report, septic report, natural hazard disclosure, all these reports, they were a big pile of crap. I mean, they were a big pile of crap. They were worthless because at the end of the day, it's like take the septic for an example. I had this place is on a septic report. The guy gives the seller, who was a guy who bought the house and because it was a drug house before he flipped it and did some work. He never lived there. He doesn't know. I mean, I'm not blaming anybody. He just doesn't. A transfer disclosure from someone who's flipping a house is worthless. They have no idea. They've never been there. But you hire these people to do things for you. And the septic guy comes out to my house after I've bought the property, and the first word out of his mouth is, "Oh hell, this thing's never going to work." I'm looking at the report, and I don't say, "Oh hell, no, this is never going to work." I'm missing that section, and so I said, "Well, you produced a report that says the system works." He says, "No, I produced a report that says on January 25th in the middle of summer it was operational. I didn't say that when it starts pouring rain like crazy, this is going to continue to work, and you have this and this and this too." Now, could I go after him and try to make a case out of it? Yeah. I guess I wanted to start throwing money around. I just don't have that kind of time or energy. The same thing with the well guys. Like, oh yeah, I mean that water, I probably wouldn't drink it. Really? Okay, so I'm going to
live here.
Yeah, I'm going to be using a restroom in the hole.
Well, if you don't drink the water, then you don't have to go to the bathroom.
That's
so
true.
You're okay.
It's true. It's so. But he said, well, on the day we did the report, it was pumping water and it didn't have bacteria in it. But he knew that the septic probably wasn't that great and the high groundwater. So, so it's just coincidentally that I got onto public water and got off the well and used it for the grass, and I'm going to get off the other things too. But I look at this natural hazard disclosure statement, and this is a very comprehensive report. Have you ever seen one? They're probably 30 pages, right? I mean, they cover everything from, do airplanes fly over your house to do birds crap on your car to, all the stuff. They cover it all. And I'm looking on there and it says, are you in a flood zone? No risk of flooding. And I'm standing there, in my underwear up to my knees in water going, geez, I think this report might be wrong. Besides, I can't crap in the septic system and I can't drink the water. So, other than that, this place is fantastic. I don't have my one a-hole neighbor anymore. This is what it's cost me $8 million to get away from it. I could have given the guy $4 million and told him to leave me alone.
You could have bought his house. You gave him $1 million for his house and moved along.
I could have burned his house to the ground and flooded it. Still been ahead. So anyway, the point of my story is buyer beware. And what's funny is that it's not so funny now. This place had a big giant pond on it, pond is a very kind description of a hole growing frogs and mosquitoes. This is what it was.
It was beautiful.
It was not. It was a dump hole. It was just terrible looking. But by the time the third neighbor asked me, "Oh, you removed that pond, huh?" And nobody ever. I said, "Yeah." I thought they were going to be like, "Oh, thank God, that was just a mud hole." And now I realized the water was going to the pond, and that's why there was a pond there. So now the water is coming in a new pond.
Yeah, right in the house.
So you have to. I guess what I learned out of the scenario is either buy a condo on the high floor that has so that at least when the sewer doesn't work, it goes straight down anyway. The neighbor has to deal with it. But B, probably not a bad idea to interview some of your neighbors.
Yeah, for sure.
Get out there and ask some of the neighbors. Now, if you're in subdivision of one of 50 houses that look the same. I mean, and the county is responsible for clearing out the drains and stuff. You know what? Just have a pest inspection and you're fine. But if you're out somewhere, and what just irritates me is that I spent my entire early part of my career just looking at rural property and rural land. I know this crap. And I have forgotten it.
Well, the funniest thing is Monday morning, someone in your office goes, "Oh, I wonder how Jeff's house was."
Yeah.
'Cause back when I used to drive up that street, it was always flood.
Yeah. You could not.
She knew.
She knew. And you could not get out of the street. I mean, literally the water was going over. No, the water was going over the road. Now I recognize that Sunday was an abnormal. I mean, that was an abnormal amount of rain. And I'll tell you right now, had it rained 30 more minutes, the water wouldn't have been on our back door. So, but it did bring up a number of feelings and emotions of, A, what the hell am I doing here? B, what the hell am I doing here? And C, what the hell am I doing? No, but
was this really what I was expecting?
And my wife said, "Well, I see your damn barn isn't wet. The only thing we finished first, so I'll be living in the barn again." But I do bring up that if you are buying something that's just a touch off the beaten path, that's just not in a normal subdivision, all things being equal, I do think it would be great to go out and interview your neighbors. Hey, I'm looking at buying this house. First of all, you might want to see if they have just one eye and four teeth, and that might help you know. But also, what do you know about the house? And what can you tell me? Because after I've been there, they've told me, yeah.
And they still might forget. It hasn't rained in 10 months.
That's true.
What's my house look like when it rains? There's 13 feet of water in your front yard.
This is a beautiful ski lake when you're done. So I think that's important. And B, I started with the insurance issue. I don't know if flood insurance is the answer or not. I talked about the people back in New York. I was listening to, I think, one of the Fox News article or radio shows the other day, and the people in New York are, we heard so much about Katrina. We're not hearing anything about the people in New York, and there's more of them involved. They've got a huge problem back there. But this one guy they were talking to was talking about his flood insurance, which is a federal program. So even if you buy flood insurance through a State Farm or Allstate or USAA, whoever, all they're doing is basically collecting the money and sending it on.
Yeah, it's all through FEMA, right?
Yeah, so it's all through FEMA. So that is not the end all. Listen to some of these people back there. They're like, hey, this event was 6 weeks ago. I haven't got a check yet. They fought me on everything. I had to spend $30,000 first off to get my project going, and they reimbursed me. Well, all you raise your hand who got 25, 30 grand to get your house project going. Raise your hand if you got it. Right. There ain't nobody has an extra $30,000, $15,000, $20,000 so they can get the sheetrock torn off and get it all cleaned up and then hope for a reimbursement check. That doesn't happen. So I'm not sure the flood insurance program is the greatest ever. Maybe if you eventually get your money, it is. But your normal insurance isn't going to cover it. And so, if you looked at our property, you would look around and you'd say there is no water. I even looked on Google Earth. I'm like, how is this pond getting fed? I look down. There's nothing coming or going. Well, it gets fed when there are deluges in rain, because it's the bottom of the swale there. So, needless to say, I'll be putting in some big old drain pipes this summer. But in the meantime, I may be roboing
more money.
Yeah. So anybody need a loan? I
got drains to put in.
Or actually, I'll just do some trade for some drainage work at this point in time. I have a good backhoer. So that is my story of the rain. And I'm sure many of you dealt with it. I was watching Facebook, and even people, I shouldn't say if you just live in a normal subdivision, because I saw people just on the normal streets
couldn't get out of their house.
Cars were buried in the water. So it was quite.
And then you got these people out doing a marathon that day.
I know.
CIM.
That's why I didn't run that day, because I didn't want to get all wet. We got to take a break. 3-3. This is okay. So here I teased this quiz question on our Talkin Money Facebook page this week. So you might have had a heads up. I did not give the answer, but I did give out that it's probably one of the more disturbing quiz questions that I can recall John ever coming across. So 339-1140. 1-800-920-1140, or you can text me at 441140, and we're going to give away your choice. You can have a ski pass at Sierra Tahoe. And by the way, we're going to be live there in the next couple weeks. We're going to go next weekend. We're going to push it off, get another good couple storms in there a little bit.
Get some snow.
Yeah, but we're going to be up there pretty quick. So if you're a skier and you want a Sierra Tahoe pass, we can do that. If you just rather have some gym boys and kick back and have a Corona and some gym boys, we can do that.
So they both sound good to me. I can't lose there.
Yeah. So what is our quiz question of the minute?
What are people doing with their departed furry friends.
So dead animals?
Yes.
What are they doing with their dead
that's
animals?
the exact way to put it. Yes.
339. What? I know departed furry friend sounds nicer, but I think you mean my dog ran away? No, your dog was hit by a vehicle. Now what are you going to do?
Now what are you going to do with it?
With the dog.
Yeah,
so what is the latest trend in dealing with dead animals?
Departed furry
furry friends. You're more politically correct than I am. 339-1140. 1-800-920-1140. You can text me at 441140. This is Talkin' Money. My name's Jeff Tarbell. That's John Fodorero. We're going to take a quick break and take your calls and texts during the break. So what is the latest trend for people whose dearly beloved departed furry friends? There's animals no fur. What do I get when them dogs have no fur? Oh. See?
Okay, you're right.
See?
Okay, skinless.
Skinless. No, they got skin, furless.
Okay, hairless.
We'll be right back.
I told you I didn't need that last drink last night.
Talkin' money.
And the action continues on Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Right. We are back, Jack.
Let's see, 9:22. We got another 8 minutes before everybody wakes up.
That's right. So we're going to get away some. So Tony and Davis knew what was going on. So Fido walks out and gets hit by a bus. And so the question was, what is the latest trend in turning your pet into some sort of memoriam? We had a lot of stuffing them, making them into fur hats, something like that stuff. That's all common. But what is the answer, John?
They are turning them into gems, diamonds, precious jewelry.
Turning your cat into a diamond.
Yes.
Is the latest. And what does this treatment cost?
At least $1,400.
So basically, they're turning the carbon of a
carbon in the ashes into man-made diamonds. This emerged a decade ago as a way to memorialize humans.
So this started. So this is the latest trend in this. So this is not a starting point. We're going to start. This is a spin-off.
Yes.
Of memorializing. So, gentlemen, next time you see a lady and you walk up to her and say, "That's a beautiful brooch you're wearing." "Oh, that's my cat." "Those are beautiful diamond earrings." "That's my grandparents." "What is that thing in your nose?" "That's my mom. She'd never keep her nose out of my business." And I don't even want to know where you put your ex-husband. We're going to move on with the story. So there you go. If you want to turn your family or your pets into diamonds,
so you can remember them forever.
You remember them forever. You can have the carbon. That is one of the
$1,400.
The more disturbing stories.
How much is a cat? To get a cat.
Well, like free if you get them at the SPCA.
And then you can
that's not a profit motive. You can't turn your cat into a diamond. That's because you can get regular cubic zirconia for $250. So I got to get kitty zirconia. It's going to cost me $1,400.
That's right. It's more valuable.
That's right. I'm never turn my little Lily into it. Well, maybe. And I thought that was a more disturbing story until this morning. Did anybody read this morning's Sacramento?
That's weird.
Business?
That is strange.
If you don't drink coffee now, you'll never drink coffee after I tell you. So have anybody heard of elephant coffee? Anybody?
It's really weird.
So this is why I don't drink coffee, because I can't. This grosses me out. This is another trend or another business in coffee. It's in the business section. So as I understand it, they take the raw coffee bean, which I believe actually has a little bit of almost looks like a grape, right? Because they have a little soft coating around them. They feed the coffee bean to the elephant. The elephant digests it for a period of time. Out the other end of the digested elephant comes the coffee bean in the dung. They take the bean out of the elephant dung, they wash it off, and they make coffee for you. Now, I don't know how you sell this concept anywhere, but this apparently is the latest trend in coffee.
Is it supposed to be good?
I have... First of all, coffee that didn't come through an elephant doesn't sound good to me, and coffee that comes out of an elephant does sound worse. So if you're walking around with your dead animal on your ears drinking elephant dung coffee, I want to meet you, and you're going to host this show next week. I promise. We got a whole hour for you right there in that chair.
That would be a good conversation.
That would be an awesome interview. So we'll come back. But hey, before I leave on the flood insurance, I've been carrying this around for weeks, and I forgot to mention it. And for those of you who live in Natomas already know this. In fact, if you've been following that one lady, did you see about the lady whose house burned down and she couldn't rebuild it because of the flood? So that's all the same area. But what you have to be very careful of, and this has come back to bite people, and can ruin a deal, in terms of qualifying for a house. But as I mentioned, you may get a report that says you're in a flood zone or you're not. Your lender's going to look also and see if you're in a flood zone. But there are varying levels of where you are in the flood zone, right? I was theoretically an X, which means you're not one, all the way down to, get a raft and a snorkel. So somewhere in between there is where your flood insurance. Well, your premium is based on really the elevation of your house, the foundation elevation of your house. And so I had a gentleman a couple of weeks ago who bought a short sale house, and it kind of like near the end found out that it was in a flood zone. And his flood quote per year was $5,400 a year for the flood insurance. Now, what he had done is he had called his insurance agent from Southern California and said, "Hey, I need flood insurance." And the gentleman, I think, just looked up the area and said, "Whoa, that's going to be expensive." Well, $5,400 a year divided by 12 months, divided by 12 is a big number. It's like just short of $500 a month. Well, a lot of people can't afford just an extra $500 just because it came out of nowhere. So you could be thrown out. What I had advised him to do was, A, talk to someone local who knows that market in particular, but B, if you have to, you can actually send out a civil engineer or somebody who can actually shoot an elevation of your house. And I don't mean shoot a picture of it, but they'll shoot the elevation. They'll say, okay, you're at 42 feet above sea level, and by doing that, it can dramatically change your insurance quote, because a lot of times a map will just say, well, this whole area is at 50 feet.
Right, but it may be up. Yeah.
Right, and at 50 feet. And the builder, particularly in Natomas, may have actually come in and built the pads up and created an elevation that was at 52 feet. And you'd be surprised, but there can be a big difference in there. So
$5,400 for flood insurance?
Yeah, it turned out that the Southern California agent did exactly what I thought. He just looked at a big map and gave him the worst price. And by the time they figured it out, it was more like $600-700 a year, which is significantly better. But there are flood policies that will run in the thousands and thousands of dollars per year, depending on where you are. And so it would be nice if you knew that going in, right? But sometimes it doesn't work out that way, and you find out later on. And that can my client had asked me, well, what do you guys care? I mean, I'll pay the bill. And I said, well, you have to qualify. It's just like your taxes and your homeowner's insurance. You got to qualify for this amount. And he's like, oh, no.
I'm trying to help you out.
Yeah. So it is something to ask and check into, but there are ways of squeaking that bill up or down a little bit depending on where you might be within the policy. So I've been carrying that around. Forgot to mention that. What are you reading there?
I'm just looking at stuff.
You're looking at stuff.
Yeah.
So I did have a couple little things that I've been carrying around, wanted to discuss. I do want to get into a little bit of the fiscal cliff stuff because there are some key dates that are coming up on things you should know about and who they will affect. So Prop 13. The Prop 13 issue is the one I think I'll start with because there's two things that, I guess two outcomes that came out of this last election that I thought were bother me a little bit. And that is that the political party that won in California, they won Proposition 30, which was a tax increase, and then nationwide, Obama and that group won too, and a lot of them ran on, we're going to increase taxes or we're going to tax the wealthy. And I was always curious to see how they would take that win. And so 49.9% of the people voted against it, and 51.1%, theoretically voted for it. So it's interesting now to see how particularly locally in California, some of our legislators here are taking that Proposition 30 win and saying, oh, okay, this is a mandate for us to go raise taxes for everybody on everything. We can do whatever we want now because obviously everybody wants to raise their taxes. And I don't think that that's true. I don't think that's even true for the people who voted for Prop 30. But the two articles I saw that came out of the election that are already out, the election's been over a month, 30 days, 3 weeks, something like that. So item number one, Mark Leno, who is a Democrat from San Francisco, said he'll introduce legislation this coming week, placing a constitutional amendment on the ballot to lower the threshold for school parcel taxes from 2/3 to 55%. What that means is right now, if a school district wants to or they want to tax a neighborhood, let's say Carmichael or Natomas or wherever, you have to get a 2/3 approval to raise taxes on yourself for schools. They want to lower that to 55%. Obviously, a lot easier threshold to get into. But that is a tax on homeowners, and it's a tax on communities. And so it's interesting to see a lot of people who voted and said, yeah, well, go ahead and tax those that make over 250, or tax the millionaires, or tax somebody else other than me. This is a tax on everybody who owns property. And to lower that threshold from 2/3 to 55% may be something, unintended consequence of giving, some false hope to our legislators there. So, in you could say you're for it or against it. That's fine. I grew up in the Carmichael area, went to Maryland High School, and I did not come back to that area to raise my kids. Not because I didn't like the area, not because it's not convenient. It's because the schools in the new schools in Natomas, the new schools in Elk Grove, the new schools in Roseville, the El Dorado Hills and Granite Bay and these areas too, had new money coming in, new taxes and new schools, and kind of the life went there. And you looked at what happened to some of these school districts in the San Juan district and other places too. Some of the life was kind of sucked out of them, and there wasn't a lot of changeover in people. So Prop 13 and the school thing, they go together, right? So if you look at the neighborhood that I grew up in as a kid, a lot of the people that were my neighbors when my mom's lived there and I grew up there are still there. So when those people who paid $60,000, $70,000 for a house in the 70s still live there, and their taxes are still based on $60,000 and $70,000 houses. So the school district never gets kind of a new thump of money coming in. Now, if my mom moved out of there, and subsequently the person moved out of there again, and that house rolled over and went for $200,000, and then it went for $400,000, and now it went back for $200,000. So they've gotten a sway up of income and back, and that's what Prop 13. That's where it has hurt communities like pockets of areas where they don't get any new income coming in. But it's also helped protect the people who live there, and those people now who live there now, many of them are on incomes that don't go up, and they can't afford to have a tax based on a $250,000 house. They got to have taxes based on $60,000 and $70,000. So you start looking at Prop 13. I mean, this has been the holy grail for homeowners in California. And who does this hurt? If this goes away, who does this hurt the most? It hurts, the least who can afford to pay.
Yeah, definitely.
People who are on the fixed incomes, people who have been living in their same houses for a long period of time, they need their taxes to be where they are. It's one of the main reasons they have not moved. Is they look around and say, yeah, boy, I'd love to move to Gold River. But gosh, they have my taxes go from $65,000 or $100,000 base to $350,000. Oh, by the way, Gold River has so many homeowners dues that are $125 a month. Jeez, I can't do it. So they're stuck. And so I get both of these. I mean, I understand why the school districts want to get it easier to vote for taxes. But I'm telling you right now, people will be coming down to the Capitol with pitchforks, and it'll be little old ladies ready to burn the Capitol down, because they're going to say, don't make me pay for schools. I don't have any kids in school anymore. Mm-hmm. And you raise my Prop 13. And this is what I think people have been saying, is that, yeah, you can. It's such a shell game. If you're in politics, you say, hey, look over here. Look at the rich people over here. They're not paying enough. Look over here. Well, what about your spending? No. Don't look over the spending. Look over here. They're not paying enough money. Okay, fine. We took all their money. We still don't have resolved the problem. Don't look over here at the way I'm doing my job. And so what happens is this is going to trickle back. If we still, does anybody hear any talk about cutting expenses? We're just talking about, the rich aren't paying their fair share and we need to get more money. And okay, fine. Let's just say you're right. Take all their money away. Now, how do we fix the problem? If you remember,
we've been talking about that for weeks, months. If you never change the spending habit, how does it fix itself?
If you remember my little example from the gentleman who was at, his name was Colin, I did a presentation I was at. He said, okay, let's just say for every dollar that we earn, we spend $1.09. Well, okay, all of the discussion about income can get us about 3 cents back. So we're still $1.06. We're still spending 6 cents per dollar more than we got. And I just think that until we all put our foot down or put our foot up somewhere, they're not going to continue to stop spending the extra 6 cents. And these are two good examples of trying to come back and get more and more money. nowhere in these articles does it say, geez, we should stop spending our money somewhere else. We should take our money and spend more on schools because we're spending it somewhere else. It just says we got to get more cash. And it's going to trickle back. And so I'm going to give you some examples of what's proposed for January 1 so you can prepare for it if you'd like. And also got a couple of little fun articles to talk about some of the spending habits and of Republicans, Democrats, and the science behind gifting. I'll do that when we come back, too, because you probably have, what is today, the 8th? Got 16 more days before Christmas Eve. You kidding me? Where'd this year go?
That's crazy.
Where did this year go? We got to take another break. You had a quiz question for us there, Rookie?
I do. We're going to talk about money.
Okay.
And time.
And, okay. Well, time is money.
And energy. Time, energy, and money.
Okay.
Right? That's how the world survives. So the question is, what is the longest what's the longest flight on any given airline? What in hours? How long? We're going from, let's just say, New York to Singapore.
That's the longest flight?
Yes.
So what is the length of time, the longest flight? I think they just broke that flight up, right?
They did. They made it a little longer because at $10,000 a whack, they weren't getting enough people.
$10,000, and that's each way, or
is
that round trip?
That's round trip.
Oh, $10,000. So they're going to break it up so you can get a few more people on. So what is the length of time to fly from JFK to where?
Singapore.
To Singapore. If you flew there straight, it was the longest leg on the current flight. I have a almost 12-hour flight coming up in January, and I am in a dead panic,
dreading it.
But then here's everybody. Well, just go business class. Okay. Other than spending $4.5 trillion making sure no water comes in the back of my house, business class,
another trillion,
or first class, it was like $10,000 each. No, not yeah. It was each way for two of us, so it was like $10,000. I'll stand for 12 hours for $10,000.
Absolutely.
I am not paying $10,000 to sit in the front seat where they bring you semi-warm cookies. I'll stand in the aisle and cry like a little girl. So 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 44-1140. Got a couple texts coming in, too. I'll read those during the break and come back. We got a couple lines open at 339-1140 if you want to jump in and ask us a question. I don't know why you'd want to ask us a question, but we'll make up an answer if that helps.
Absolutely.
What was the length of time of the longest flight from JFK to Singapore? My name's Jeff Tarbell. That's John Fodero. We're going to be
right back, Jack.
Talking money.
Well, alrighty then. We're back to Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Yeah, our final segment of the day. Tell you what we're going to do. Actually, I know what we're going to do. Let's do this. We had 4 ski passes committed for today. We had a couple people that were not skiers. They took some gym boys. So I'll do this. The next 3 callers who have not won something in the last quarter, I know who you are, and she really knows who you are. If you want a ski pass to Sierra Tahoe, give us a call, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. The first 3 callers who can get through and would like to go skiing and are not repeat winners, we will give you a ski pass. Maybe you can come up and check us out. We'll be up there in a couple of weeks. Do it live from last time we did it live from the deck out there overlooking the resort. A little bit cold. I said, this time, could you put us up in the bar or the restaurant or something where I can feel my face? But I know it's asking a lot. We did have a quiz question before the break there. The longest single flight in the world.
The Jeff Tarbell favorite flight.
Yeah.
Singapore to JFK.
Uh-huh. 14. We had a lot of 14 and 12 and 14-hour guesses.
It's a 24-hour and 15-minute flight.
That's just a long day. I don't care what you're doing.
You used to be able to go in 18 hours and 30 minutes.
Oh, before the stopover?
Before the stopover in Frankfurt.
But now it's a 24-hour flight with a hangover there in Frankfurt, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's what you can get for $10,000.
Yeah, you can get a lot of things for $10,000. Off the text line, Jeff, do you think there's enough money raised by current tax to pay for everything necessary if used responsibly? There's 2 big words in there, necessary and responsibly.
Big words.
What is necessary? Do I think our government, do I think our country and our states raise enough cash? Yes. But what do you cover, what is everything that's being covered? Are we talking about just roads, military, and, basic services? I mean, what do they do when they don't have a budget? They shut down the unnecessary services. and they run the government off that. Do I think we raise enough money? Yes. Do we want to cover everything necessary? That is the key question. I heard this week, and this is from memory. So please, if I'm off by a couple bucks, I'm probably telling you right now I'm probably off by a couple dollars, but this is very close to being the concept. And so you talk about what's necessary. Right now, there was a survey that just came out this week that I heard that the federal government spends on average about $168 a day for welfare for families. So the average family who's on welfare, and that could be either unemployment, it could be any number of combinations of things. But on average, a family who's getting welfare is getting about $168 a day. The median income, so a family who's working, not getting any assistance from the government, is earning about $140 a day. So the families that are out there working are earning about $20 a day less than those that are getting welfare from the government under the current expenditure levels. So that's what most people will call a tipping point. If you ever read the book Tipping Point, that becomes a problem when you look around and say, okay, if I get up and go to work, I'm going to earn less than if I stay home and collect. That's an issue.
Yeah.
That's an issue. So does that become under the necessary category of spending or the unnecessary category of spending? It's probably necessary for some period of time and then unnecessary for another period of time. And I did hear there was an economist talking about the really the logic behind unemployment benefits. When I think when Clinton was Bush 1 or Clinton, one of the two, when they were in office to begin with, you got 13 weeks of unemployment. So what's that, about 3 months? Right now, it's up to 99 weeks. So the 52 weeks in a year, so it's almost 2 years worth of unemployment. And the economist was talking about, people do this because they think it's compassionate to help somebody who's unemployed, and I do too. But his comment, which I had never actually thought about, was the reason people did it in 13-week increments. Prior to that, the reason the number was kept short was that one, what do they call? Something in motion stays in motion. So if you learn to stay in motion, keep looking, keep doing things, you stay active. And the other thing he said is, what happens to people's job skills? Anybody who's been out of the workforce for 2 years, what are their job skills like? I can tell you in the mortgage business, if I'm on vacation for 2 weeks, which I've never taken a 2-week vacation ever, I come back, I'm like, oh my God, I have completely lost what is going on in our industry in 2 weeks. So I want to take a week vacation. But I mean, imagine being out of the workforce for 99 weeks. You, A, forget how to get up and be active. B, lose any sense of pride in being active if you had one. And C, the most importantly, probably you forget how to work. And you forget the job skills and these kind of things too. So I actually had never contemplated. I was just thinking about the financial aspect of 99 weeks. It's like, come on. But the downside is that someone has actually untrained themselves on how to get a job and keep active. So I thought it was pretty interesting. But boy, that's a problem when the median income family is earning less than those that are on some sort of assistance. So interesting.
Unemployment's down now, right? Didn't it go down yesterday, based on the reports we had?
Well, John, it depends on what report you're looking at. I think when they factored in and out all the people who just quit looking, and then there was some temporary job loss due to some of the hurt. I think they figured out it was basically pretty flat. But yes, it was reported as being the lowest in the last couple of years. But I don't know. I guess if you're working, then you feel like it's gone down, and if you can't find a job, you feel like it's still too high. So
right.
Depends on which side of the
very true
news article you're listening to. Here's a couple things you might think about as you're doing a little shopping, a little holiday shopping. Are you all done, by the way? Let me rephrase that.
So my wife's birthday was yesterday, so now I can start thinking about Christmas.
That is tough. I do feel for those whose birthdays were within a short window of Christmas.
But I went past the Apple store yesterday, and it's kind of funny. They have a table out front, and you can rapidly buy. It's pretty interesting. You can rapidly buy $1,200. It's almost like you go up to get a piece of candy, except you're getting a 2.5 MacBook Air or something, $1,200. It's like, wow.
They're just all stacked ready to go.
Rapid purchasing. They're just stacked there. Just line them up.
Maybe those people that ordered them are coming to get them. Huh? And how many rapid purchases did you make there, Mr. Apple?
I kept walking.
You just kept walking. So here we go. This is a study on the science behind gifting. So I thought this was pretty interesting. and this was the first study was in the engagement ring category. So if you're shipping, so spending more money on a gift doesn't translate into greater appreciation. The study found. Take note, men. The gifts in the study were engagement rings. So the larger engagement ring didn't necessarily attribute to more happiness. Apparently, it doesn't live in our neighborhood. 79% of the respondents to a consumer spending survey said regifting is socially acceptable during the holiday season.
I like that.
Regifting. Now, anybody want to take a guess on which gender regifts more? Huh? Men? Wrong. Women, 55% to 45% regift more, and the younger they are, the more they regift. So
probably not their engagement rings, though.
No. So if you're getting a gift from a young 22-year-old female, she got that 3 times ago, and that's been rolling around the park a little bit. So younger women regift the most. What else? Here you go. Women get regifted at 50% greater rate than men. Oh, not 5%, 50% regift, according to a poll, credit card comparison poll. I think that was about the most interesting. People under 30 are the most likely to regift than older people. Yeah, so there's my summary there. And I was going to give out one more quick, because this is where you want to see. We got 2 minutes here. We're doing good. So where Republicans and Democrats spend their money the most, more likely than average. So Democrats, you are more likely than average to shop at Lady Foot Locker, Kids Foot Locker, Finish Line, Foot Locker, and American Apparel. Democrats have no shoes, apparently. That's all you need is shoes. I don't get that. Burlington Coat Factory, Foot Action, and Family Dollar Store. Top 10 stores among Republicans, Hobby Lobby, don't know that one, Dick's Sporting Goods, Williams-Sonoma, Herberger's, I don't know, Belk, I don't know, Joanne Stores, I don't know, Christopher and Banks, I don't know, Justice, J. Crew, and Maurice's. I don't know half those places. I must not be a Republican. And the most likely store for Republicans to shop more than Democrats is Bloomingdale's or the Disney store. So there you go. So if you're in the mall and you're out looking around and you run into a Republican, if they're in Hobby Lobby, they're Republicans for sure. If they're in Lady Foot Locker, they're Democrats for sure. There's almost the first 5 are shoe stores.
That's
for the Democrats. So if I'm going to run for Democratic office, I'm going to start by marketing in shoe stores only. Apparently, the Lady Foot Locker and the Kids Foot Locker and the Finish Line. So there you go.
So you're in the Foot Locker store, and all you hear is Jeff Tarbell.
Ding. That's right. Because I'm not going to have actually any kind of like speech or anything. Any kind of. I don't come from this direction. I'm just going to be my name and then the bell. Jeff Tarbell. Boing. That'll be it. Ad nauseum. You'll hear it in your sleep. You'll vote for me just to shut me up. And that's exactly what I'm going for. That is my approach.
That's a good approach.
I will not shut up until you vote for me. My name is Jeff Tarbell. Hey, we got to go. We'll see you next Saturday, everybody. Be cool. Get out there and stimulate the economy, please. And get a little motorcycle ride in today?
Yeah, let's do that.
I'll do a little ride. Okay, you can find us on this show's on Facebook, too, at the Talkin Money page. We'll see you next Saturday, everybody. Be cool. Aloha.